accidentally kissed a dragon, and now the dragon's father wants me to sleep with her. And if I refuse, he will burn me to ashes. The entire dragon clan demands we mate, as it's the only way to save their dying race. But for me, it's a death sentence. Because mating with a dragon isn't just dangerous. It's a fire that will consume me alive. Now, as flames lick at my fate, I curse the day it all began. A princess from a dragon clan fell out of the sky and landed on my manhood. I mistakenly kissed her and swallowed her spirit core. Now her dragon daddy wants me to marry her or he'll kill me. The girl, gorgeous and barely clothed, tumbled down out of the clear blue sky from thousands of feet above the earth. Jacob was walking across a campus lawn when he looked up and saw her speeding down toward him. Before he could react, he found this gorgeous semi-naked girl crash on top of him. He realized that his lips touched hers. Jacob didn't mind that. However, something small and round fell out of her mouth and right into his. Gasping, he accidentally swallowed it and gagged. What the hell was that? He thought. Confused, Jacob pushed the girl off and scrambled to his feet. She looked like a senior in high school, wearing only a couple of flimsy rags that barely covered her chest and nether region. Jacob couldn't help but stare. Then she clutched her throat. Suddenly panicked, she started to search the ground around her, raking at the grass with her fingers. Was she looking for the thing that he had accidentally swallowed? What was it? When her gaze finally locked on Jacob, it was as if she was seeing him for the first time. She stood up. Her face turned bright red, and before Jacob could say another word, she came up and slapped him. Hard. "You're such a I hate you," Jacob yelped and rubbed his cheek. "Huh? You were the one who crashed into me. If I wasn't here to break your fall, you would have died." The girl stared into his eyes with anger, then turned and ran off. Jacob rubbed his neck as he watched the girl running away. What the hell was that? Later that day, Jacob spotted a black Benz parked at the main entrance of the college. Two men wearing black suits got out. Many students were gathered at the gate, wanting to find out which rich kid these two were waiting for. Unexpectedly, the two men rushed towards Jacob and said, "Finally, you're done with classes. Our boss has been waiting for you." Jacob looked at the two men in confusion. "You are?" They opened the door to the Mercedes. "This is regarding the girl you encountered today. Don't worry, we won't take up much of your time. Please get in the car." Jacob was confused. Was this possibly about the thing that had dropped into his mouth? Either way, he didn't feel he could turn these men down. Even though they were well dressed, they looked like they could be dangerous, Jacob thought as he stepped into the car. Maybe it's an invitation to my own funeral. After about half an hour of traveling halfway across the city, the car came to the busy downtown. A skyscraper about 70 stories high came into view. Jacob noticed the sign on top, MTX Group. MTX was one of the biggest business empires in the country. The sedan stopped at the gate of the skyscraper. The two men got out and opened the door. Glancing up at the skyscraper, Jacob felt a bit dizzy. They led Jacob into an elevator before pressing the button for the topmost floor of the building. The elevator dinged as the trio reached the top floor. The two men in suits brought him into a grand office. Behind the desk stood Draken, CEO of MTX Group. Sophie, the girl who'd crashed into him, stood in the corner watching. Jacob was stunned again by her beauty. Draken looked at Jacob with barely contained rage. "You have something that belongs to my daughter. Something you stole from Sophie." Jacob began to protest, but with a sudden flash of light, Draken transformed into a monstrous beast right before Jacob's eyes, revealing his true form. Jacob stared in terror. The beast's huge, black, scaly form suddenly filled the office. Leathery wings were folded behind his back. He glared at Jacob with eyes burning with hellfire. Jacob stammered. "I can't believe it," he finally sputtered. "You're a dragon." "Yes, I am," said Draken. "In fact, I am the Dragon King of Ashvale. I come from a long line of dragons who have adapted to live among humankind. Sophie is the youngest of our clan, and you have endangered her life." He revered back to his human form, but Jacob knew he'd never get that terrible sight out of his mind. "What? I didn't hurt your daughter, I swear!" he exclaimed. "Sophie told me what happened," said Draken. "That when the two of you collided, your lips touched for a brief second." Jacob blushed and tried not to make eye contact with Sophie. He didn't need the reminder. He'd thought of it every minute since it happened. In that moment, Draken explained, Sophie's dragon core passed from her body into your own. Her core is the source of her power and life source. Without it, she'll die. Jacob glanced at Sophie with shock. Draken gave Jacob a solemn look. This has never happened before. There's only one way to get the core back. We have to cut it out of your stomach. You won't survive, but we'll make sure your family is taken care of. Suddenly, one of the men in black suits pulled out the longest knife Jacob had ever seen. Jacob went white with fear. No, please, it was an accident. Sophie wouldn't look at him. Jacob cried, please, there has to be another way. Suddenly, the door of the room opened and a few elders walked in. Seeing them, Jacob could figure they also belonged to some dragon clan. Draken turned to the other elders. How about the rest of you? Do you have any other suggestions? Another elder spoke up. There is one other possible solution. What is it? Asked Draken. The elder took a deep breath before answering. By marriage. And then, consummation. Jacob froze. Consummation? As in, they want me to have with Sophie? Sophie froze for half a second before jumping up and shrieking, Elder Frank, that's disgusting! Draken glared at his daughter. Behave! Turning back to the elder, he commanded, Explain. The elder responded, If we simply cut the core out of the boy now, it may be contaminated and pose a danger to Miss Sophie. However, if they marry, the mortal can cultivate his core, then transfer some dragon essence back to Miss Sophie, and both can survive. This may be safest. Sophie shouted immediately, No, I'd rather die! Ignoring his daughter's outburst, Draken furrowed his brows. Marriage between my daughter and a mere mortal? Elder Liam said humbly. We don't have a choice. Draken nodded, then turned to Jacob. What do you say, boy? Would you agree to marry Sophie? Jacob's jaw dropped in shock. Finally, he spoke. Are you kidding me? She's in high school and I'm still in college. How could you even think of getting us married? Elder Liam shook his head. Do you think that the bead you swallowed is an ordinary bead? It's a dragon core. If you don't listen to me, it will take your life at any moment. You will die on your own, boy. Jacob felt like his brain was in a buzz of confusion and was unable to accept all the overwhelming information. Very well then, down to the basement, Draken commanded. His voice had lost all pretense of civility. Please, just let me go, Jacob pleaded. One of the guards struck him across the face. Silence, human. They hauled Jacob down a winding stone staircase. The temperature dropped with each step until his breath came out in white puffs. The walls were lined with ancient tapestries showing dragons wreaking havoc on medieval villages. At the bottom was a heavy iron door covered in more of those twisting symbols. The door creaked open to reveal what could only be described as a dungeon. Medieval-looking cells lined the walls, their bars gleaming with an unnatural blue light. In one corner, chains and manacles hung from the ceiling. Strange implements that looked disturbingly like torture devices were arranged on the walls. They threw Jacob into the nearest cell. His head cracked against the stone floor. Watch him, Draken told the guards. If he tries anything, kill him, but keep him alive for now. We need that core intact. Jacob struggled to his feet, gripping the bars. You can't do this. People will look for me, my roommate, my professors. Draken's laugh was cold. No one will find you here. The wards protect this place from prying human eyes. Besides, by tomorrow night there won't be enough left of you to find. One of the elders with big bushy eyebrows and eyes that seemed to stare right through Jacob's soul chimed in. What about Sophie? She's still weak from losing her core. She'll recover once they're married, Draken said, and she'll learn an important lesson about being more careful with her power. It's time she understood the responsibility that comes with being a dragon. Hours passed like days. The elders continued their brutal planning while Jacob tried not to throw up from fear. They discussed different methods of cultivating the core, debating which would cause least damage to Sophie. None seemed particularly concerned about the damage to Jacob. Eventually, their voices faded as they headed back upstairs, leaving only the guards. Jacob curled up in the corner of his cell, shivering. The core in his chest felt like it was burning. Late that night, Jacob heard soft footsteps on the stairs. Sophie appeared wearing all black, her white hair tied back. She pressed a finger to her lips. The guards. Jacob whispered, nodding to the two men. Sophie waved her hand lazily. The two men slumped forward, snoring. Simple sleep charm. Works every time on the lower ranks. She pulled out a ring of keys and quickly unlocked his cell. Come on, we don't have much time before they wake up. Why are you helping me? Jacob asked as they crept up the stairs. Won't they punish you? I'm helping you because I'm not like them, Sophie hissed. The old ways, the violence, the superiority complex, I'm sick of it all. They think being a dragon means we have to be monsters. She paused, checking around a corner. But listen carefully. She grabbed his arm, her grip painfully tight. If you breathe a word of this to anyone, there will be war. And trust me, humans don't want a war with dragons. What do you mean? Why I keep hearing about mythical beings that don't exist? We do exist. You can feel my core inside of you. Think about it. Your weapons, your armies, they're nothing against dragons at full power. The only reason we stay hidden is because we choose to. Start a war and the world burns. Her eyes glowed in the darkness. So keep your mouth shut and start believing. Okay, I won't tell anyone, Jacob promised. Who would believe me anyway? But what about the core? Jacob asked, touching his chest. Won't it kill me? Probably, Sophie said bluntly. But that's not my problem. Figure it out yourself. I've risked enough helping you escape. We're done here. Sophie, right? Please, wait. Listen carefully, human, she snapped. This isn't some fairy tale where the dragon princess falls in love with the commoner. I'm saving your life because I don't want your death on my conscience. That's it. Don't mistake this for anything else. Her skin rippled, scales shimmering just beneath the surface. For a moment, Jacob caught a glimpse of what she really was. Ancient, powerful, terrifying. Go, she commanded. Before I change my mind, she shoved him out into the night. As Jacob ran, he could hear shouting from inside the mansion. They'd discovered his escape. He didn't stop running until he reached his dorm room. Only then did he allow himself to collapse, shaking onto his bed. The core pulsed in his chest like a second heartbeat, each beat sending waves of burning pain through his body. What the hell was he supposed to do now? The dragons would be looking for him. Sophie had made it clear she wouldn't help again, and he had no idea how to control the power growing inside him. Jacob touched his chest where the core burned. One thing was certain. He needed to learn fast, because next time the dragons wouldn't bother keeping him alive for extraction. They'd just kill him outright. The next morning, Jacob stared at himself in the bathroom mirror, barely recognizing his reflection. In just a few hours since escaping the dragon family's dungeon, his body had changed dramatically. His once average frame had filled out with lean muscle, his jawline looked sculpted, and his skin practically glowed. Even his previous poor eyesight had corrected itself. What's happening to me? He whispered, touching his face. The core pulsed in his chest, sending waves of heat through his body. Is this dragon nonsense actually real? Oh boy, I'm in big trouble. His phone buzzed. His calendar. He had mechatronics with Professor Susan next, but every instinct screamed at him to run, to pack a bag and disappear before the dragons found him again. But where would he go? They'd tracked him down once already. And Sophie's warning echoed in his mind. There were dragons everywhere, watching, waiting. Sam's voice came through the door. Dude, hurry up! We can't be late for Professor Susan's class! Jacob grabbed his now unnecessary glasses, thinking they might help him look more normal. Coming! The hallways were packed with students rushing to get good seats in Susan's class. Jacob heard the whispers as he passed. Is that Jacob? When did he get so hot? Did he get taller overnight? No way, those are real muscles. Sam nudged him. Bro, what's your secret? You look like you spent the whole summer at the gym. Just good genes kicking in, Jacob mumbled. They barely found seats in the middle of the packed lecture hall. Professor Susan walked in, commanding attention in her fitted dress and stilettos. Every male student sat up straighter. Today's topic is particularly fascinating, she purred, writing on the board, the transformation of energy. Jacob's hand shook as he tried to take notes. Should he even be here? What if the dragon family sent someone after him during class? What if they were watching right now? He caught Susan studying him between sentences, her gaze unnervingly intense. When she demonstrated an equation, her eyes locked with his, and he could have sworn they flickered with an inhuman light. Mr. Walker, she called out suddenly, please solve this problem. Jacob stood, hyper-aware of how his new muscles moved under his shirt. The equation was complex, but somehow the answer came to him instantly. Numbers and formulas danced in his mind with crystal clarity. "The solution is 47 degrees Celsius," he said without touching his calculator. Susan's perfect eyebrow arched. "Impressive mental mathematics, Mr. Walker. Please stay after class." The other students erupted in whispers. Sam grinned and whispered, "Lucky." Jacob spent the rest of class in agony, his mind racing. Had she noticed his changes? Did she suspect what he was? Every time she looked his way, his core burned hotter. Not the kind of hot that he usually would feel for her. When class ended, Sam clapped his shoulder. "Dude, you have to tell me everything that happens. You are about to become a legend." If he knew, Jacob thought. He watched his classmates file out, envying their normal lives. A cluster of guys lingered by the door, shooting him jealous looks. "Close the door," Susan commanded once they were alone. Her heels clicked as she approached his desk. "Your element is water. I can sense it." She traced a finger along his jawline, her touch electric. "Tell me, which clan do you belong to? River, stream, lake, or ocean?" Jacob stumbled backward. "I don't know what you're talking about." In a blur of movement, Susan had him pinned against the wall, her strength monstrous. "Don't play games with me, little one. I've been watching you today. The physical improvements, the enhanced intelligence, the mathematical abilities, typical signs of a first transformation." Her face was inches from his. Up close, her beauty was terrifying. Too perfect, too precise. "I'm not. I can't," Jacob stammered. "Oh, you're new to this, aren't you? How adorable." Her nails lengthened into talons, pricking his throat. "But don't think being in public means you're safe. One wrong move, one slip about what you are." She pressed harder. "Dragons have ways of making deaths look natural." "Please," Jacob gasped. "I won't tell anyone." "Smart boy." She inhaled deeply. "You're sent. You've met the clan already, haven't you? Did they try to kill you?" Jacob's silence was answer enough. "Who's teaching you control?" she demanded. "I don't have anyone. I'm not controlling anything, ma'am. Please just let me go," Jacob whispered. Susan's eyes widened. Something was wrong. "You may go. But remember, I'm watching. Always." Jacob fled her office, his heart pounding. Students stared as he passed, his enhanced hearing picking up their whispers. "Did you see his arms?" "Forget his arms. Did you see his face? What did the hot professor want with him?" He locked himself in a bathroom stall, trembling. The core burned in his chest like molten metal. In a few hours, his entire world had shattered. Dragons were real. They were everywhere, and they all seemed to want him either dead or under their control. However, as soon as he stepped out, he was in for a surprise. The two men in black suits stood in front of him, their gaze stoic. "Thought you could escape a Dragon King now, did you?" One of them smirked. Before Jacob could protest, they dragged him down the hallway and outside the university gates. Other students snickered in disbelief when they saw Jacob being treated like a prisoner. He must have broken some cardinal rule to be treated like a tramp. Jacob felt like he was going through a déjà vu as the Mercedes sped past buildings and entered a posh neighborhood. The vehicle drove smoothly for a little while before it arrived at a two-story house. No one would think of it as the house of a rich family by its unpretentious look. A cheerful lady wearing an apron opened the door and said softly, "Come in." She had a warmth in her smile and a friendly face. Seeing her, Jacob forgot about all the unpleasantness that had happened just a few minutes ago. The woman introduced herself. "I'm Helen, Sophie's mom. Her dad has gone to pick her up from school, and they should be back soon. Go ahead and take a seat. I'll go cook." She led Jacob to the couch and smiled. Then she walked into the kitchen. Jacob could judge how wealthy the family was by looking at the size of the medieval-styled chandelier that hung in the middle of the living room. The doorbell rang, and soon Jacob heard footsteps approaching the living room. Dracon entered with Sophie, and as soon as she saw Jacob, she gritted her teeth. Sophie was wearing a red floral skirt. Dracon greeted Jacob with a friendly smile. "You're here. I'm afraid we got off on the wrong foot." Jacob was confused. Dracon turned to Sophie. "You guys chat. I still have some work to do." He walked into the study and started going through some documents. Sophie stood on the carpet as she stared at Jacob. "Let me warn you. He doesn't know that I helped you escape, so you better keep that to yourself. And don't forget, I never agreed to marry you, so if you don't keep your hands to yourself, I am going to cut them off." Jacob gave Sophie an angry look as well. The problem is, I never wanted to get married to you either. What can I do when I keep getting kidnapped and brought here again and again? Sophie sat on the couch beside Jacob reluctantly. As she sat closer than he expected, Jacob felt her hair brush against his face. A warmth spread through him, making his heart feel lighter. Is it her internal core inside him, or was it his own feelings? Jacob wondered, as he developed a liking for Sophie. Helen called out from the dining room as she brought the last 2 dishes out from the kitchen to the table. Dinner time. Helen said to Jacob gently, "Jacob, come eat with us." The table was just big enough for the 4 of them. Jacob felt a little awkward, but he sat down. Her mother spoke as she passed him the bowl of gravy. "I know that you have a lot of questions about us, but I believe you will get used to it gradually." She continued, thoughtful. "Sophie is still in high school. Normally speaking, it's too early to talk about marriage at this age. However, marriage in your case has become..." Does saving Sophie's life mean Jacob has to sacrifice his own? Is this the beginning of a curse for kissing a dragon princess? Will Drakon, the Dragon King, kill Jacob if he denies sleeping with his daughter, Sophie?
To find out, listen to My Dragon Princess on Pocket FM app.